And I am live. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, April 28th. This is Ms. Hodges, and I am coming on to do today's video. And this is the only video for today. This is it. So, a reminder, I'm going to say this at the beginning of the video, and I'm going to repeat it at the end. On Tuesdays, you have a 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock Zoom lesson with Miss Stewart. You pick one of those lessons to attend. But today at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, I am coming on YouTube Live, and I am going to go over question 8 from yesterday. So that assignment was assigned on Thursday. So you guys had Thursday to do it. You guys had Friday to do it. I gave it to you yesterday, Monday to do it. So today is the deadline for questions number 2 and number 8 from Google Drive. So if you are stuck on one of those questions, you can come back at 10 or 2. And I am going to go ahead and walk you through how to write and respond to that question. But you cannot miss Ms. Stewart's lesson. So I will record it and I will put it in the writing playlist. Okay, good morning. Tuesday, your paper setup is already on Google Drive, and you have multiple little mini assignments. I had a parent yesterday say, my child's having a really hard time focusing through the videos, and I want to encourage you guys to be independent and to chunk the video. You guys have 1, 2, 3, 4 mini assignments. You guys are pretty familiar with that little checklist. So after you do one mini assignment, take a little break, take a little brain break, or go get a snack, or go take a short walk around your house. But you guys have 4 mini assignments to do. I'm going to make a word about the trackers this week. If you are not participating in the live, like commenting while I'm talking, if you're not talking actively, then that's a missed opportunity. Otherwise, you're green. I have had people on the video, but I don't know you're there because you're not making comments about the learning. So, yep, there's a couple people in here. I'll answer that question after. I'm not going to answer that while we're doing this. So just hang on to that and ask me again at the end. That's an important question. But if you guys come back and you guys leave comments, make sure your comments are meaningful on the video. Some people wrote, that really helped me. Again, you're not getting credit for participation if you say that was helpful, because I could type that on any video. I need something about the learning in the video. So make sure you guys are aware of your comments. And another thing with the setup, so many people are setting up their paper and you're copying everything I have. But if you are not proving to me that you've read the chapter, if you're not answering the questions, that's the grade you get, because there's no learning taking place. A monkey could copy. I could teach a monkey how to write, but a monkey cannot think deeply like we can. So that is a reminder to some people in this chat or people watching the video later that if I ask you a question and you don't actually answer it, that's not a grade. That's going to be read. So if you set up your paper, it still doesn't matter, because what learning took place? If you don't understand that, make sure you ask me a question now, because that's a big thing I'm noticing is so many people are just going on Google Drive and setting up their paper, taking a picture and saying they're done. And then when their parents sees their tracker, your parents are going, oh my gosh, my child has read, but they have papers. Yeah, but did you do any thinking on those papers? That's really important. Okay, moving on. The first thing we're going to do is your 2 truths and a lie from chapter 5. Liar, liar, liar. So on your paper setup, what you can actually do today is you can actually write your answers in the notes right there. Or you could do it separately, but it's actually helpful to keep it all in one place. So our first assignment is the 2 truths and a lie from chapter 5. If you've not read chapter 5, you have to go back to yesterday and do yesterday's reading and assignment. Here we go. 2 truths and a lie. 2 of the answers are true. It is up to you to be the lie detector and to find the lie. So question number 1. Which of these does not make an appearance in chapter 5? Which of these does not appear in chapter 5? And these are all religious ideas. That's why religion was so important yesterday. Here we go. Which of these does not appear in chapter 5? Is it a hijab, a headscarf? Is it fasting, which means not eating? Or is it the Quran, a holy book used by Muslim people? Which of those does not make an appearance in chapter 5? One of those is a lie. You can jot it down on your notes. If you're going, I don't know what you're talking about, you probably need to go read chapter 5. Which of those does not appear in chapter 5? Hijab, which is a headscarf, fasting, which means not eating, or the Quran, which is the holy book used by Muslim people. All right. You can always pause the video, rewind it. You can always go back and read chapter 5. The book's chapter is still there. Question 2. Which of these is not part of Amina's prayer routine? Told you chapter 5 had a lot of religion in it. Here we go. Which of these is not part of her routine? Which of these is the lie? Washing off. Taking off her hijab, which is a headscarf. Or separating by gender. That one's tricky. Which of those was not part of the prayer routine? Washing off, taking off her hijab, or separating people in the mosque by gender. One of those was not part of her prayer routine. You can always pause it. You can always come back to this later. And question number 3. And this one's only got 2 answers. So one is true, one is a lie. Which of these is not a reasonable inference you can make? Which of these is not reasonable? Amina's parents will sign her up for the Quran recitation competition. And recitation is just talking, repeating. So is that reasonable to say that will happen? Amina's parents will sign her up for the Quran recitation competition. Or Emily will have conflict with Amina based on her religion. Which of those is not a reasonable inference? One of those has text-based evidence. And based on what you know on how stories go, take your knowledge of chapter 5, put it with your ideas, and you will be able to answer that question. But one of those is totally not reasonable. One of those we have no evidence for. One of those is just made up. They both sound kind of good if you've not read chapter 5. And that is your 2 truths and a lie. That's it, people. So religion is very important to do your 2 truths and a lie successfully. So you can always come back to that part of the video. You can always go back and reread chapter 5. Some of those were kind of sneaky. But you can always put your notes on this side for the 2 truths and a lie. Okay, that was assignment 1. Here we go. Assignment 2. The focus today is not about identity. It's not about a possible theme like accepting others or fitting in or friendship or being brave. All of those are kind of themes of the book so far. But today's not about theme. Today's not about the character relationships. Today is about that thing that you guys don't really like to do because it's the most difficult thing sometimes, vocabulary. So on Google Drive, I actually went through my phone last week and I found pictures from my charts in the classroom. So when you go on Google Drive today, you will see my vocabulary chart on Google Drive. And so some people I've noticed, they do this to help them. So I'm going to share it with you guys. They actually make their own chart. So if I do a character chart, they make their own. They don't just take a picture on their phone, they make it with sticky notes, or they make it and they draw it. So you guys might consider doing that because this vocabulary chart, and I hope you guys are getting the gist of me repeating this. Everything I give you, I don't want it to be just about 5th grade anymore. I want you guys to have strategies and to have things you guys can take to next year. I want you guys next year when you're in your language arts class, whether it's your remedial class or your honors class or your regular class, I want you guys to take a deep breath when you're doing work and say, I've got strategies for this. And I cannot stress enough, these strategies you can use next year, the year after, the year after. So if you want to take time to make a vocabulary chart, it's a tool that can help you. And you guys know how important it is and how helpful it is. So when you go on Google Drive, If you look through the pictures, well, first, make sure you're in Hodges. And when you look through the pictures, it's on the bottom. It says vocabulary chart. And it's things like looking for word parts, visualizing the scene, which is the most important vocabulary strategy, is actually thinking what's happening in that scene. Looking for linking words like however would mean opposite, and in addition would mean similar. Using mood and tone, positive and negative. Using the words job. Is that a person? Is that a place? Is that an action? Is that a feeling? That can help. And the last thing you do with vocabulary is you never guess the word until the end. Because if we guess the word first, we don't think about the scene, we don't look at the clues before or after, and we don't think about positive or negative. So you guys should only guess the word at the very, very end. And awesome, some people are already seeing it on Google Drive. So that is there to help you. That strategy poster is not a 5th grade poster. It's not a Miss Hodges poster. That is just a flat out, want to be a better vocabulary person, make that chart. So on Google Drive, I actually gave you the list of vocabulary words I want you to do in the chapter. I picked the vocabulary words that you have to use strategies for. But you guys know when you come to an unfamiliar word, one strategy is not enough. You have to use multiple strategies to kind of get you from this, oh gosh, it could be this, anything, to kind of get closer to what the answer is. So you guys are going to have to jot down a lot of your thinking. And I've done an example for you. I'm actually going to read you some of the chapter to do that. But today's work is all about when you guys read chapter 6, when you come to these words, and that's why paper setup is so important. When you come to these words, how can you use strategies to help you find meaning? Okay? And so in chapter 6, all of those words appear. So you might want to read a little bit and then look at your list. But all of those words can use the strategies and you'll figure it out. If you Google the word, you just robbed yourself of an opportunity to do the thinking. And next year, when you go back into a real classroom and even high school and even college and so on, you've got to have that thinking in your brain first. Then you can Google it last. But if you just send me and you say, imam means this, affectionate means this, tarnish means this, minces means this, that's not you showing me your thinking. That's just showing me you know how to Google. So how can you guys take notes to show me, hey, Miss Hodges, I thought about this word. I didn't just Google it. Because if you just write the answer, you're not showing me that you're thinking. And so be careful with that. Okay, so chapter 6, there's a word that I'm going to show you. I'm actually going to back up to this chapter 5 because this word appears in chapter 5. And you guys read chapter 5 yesterday. It was a lot about religion. And I am going to find this first word. So the first word I give you to look at is imam. Okay, imam right away, I could look at word parts, but imam does not look like an English word. So I'm already expecting that one to be maybe the word's job. Because I know as a reader that when I see a word in another language, I'm not going to know really, I'm not going to be able to see it and kind of know. I'm going to have to use a lot of clues. And so when I read, I'm reading along and I find the word imam. So I'm like, okay, imam, here we go. I'm going to get ready. It says in chapter 5, this is something you guys already read. Okay, what's happening in the scene? Strategy 1. Okay, Amina is talking to her friend. They're at Sunday school. I'm checking the scene. I'm visualizing. And then she says, Sister Naima is from Egypt, like my family, Dahlia says. So, Rabia asks. So her Arabic is perfect. Well, Imam Malik isn't from Egypt, and his Arabic is awesome, Rabia argues. I agree. Imam Malik grew up in Florida and can easily switch between perfect Arabic and English. Even better, He knows as much about cheat codes to video games as religious topics. So in that scene, I'm doing vocab strategy 1. In that scene, when I visualize, it's Amina and Dahlia, and they're talking about Imam Malik. And his name has a capital letter. So I know it's a name. It's got a capital letter. So I know the word's job is a person. But I don't want to just write a person. In the scene, okay, they're talking about Sunday school. So I wrote the strategy and I just jotted a couple words. It's about Sunday school. The word's job is a person because it keeps saying Imam Malik, he. Mood or tone, they think positively of him, right? They were talking about him in a good way, that he likes video games and he's also religious. And so for answer, I don't just write person. Look what I do. I take all this thinking and I say, he's the pastor. I really try to be specific at the end. So I took the unknown word, I named the strategy, and then I jotted some thinking on the side, but I did not write my answer until the end. And I didn't just say he was a person. I used the scene to tell me about who his identity was. Okay? That's just me using a chapter 5, a little piece and a little example. So that's what you guys have to do for these other words. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Multiple vocabulary strategies. My thinking is there. And I actually don't want you guys to just copy this. I want you guys to read chapter 6. And then when you see Imam, I want you guys to then go, oh, Miss Hodges did this one. And I just want you to try it on your own. You guys will remember this video. You guys will go, oh yeah, I know what it is. But that will be really nice because you guys will have that connection to what I just showed you. Okay? So that's how you're going to do your vocabulary work. And you guys can ask me questions as we go. But vocabulary is a skill that you always have to practice and you always have to come back to, whether it be stories or not. Okay? All right. I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit of chapter 6 for you guys. I got a little bit of time. So today you guys are reading chapter 6. And I'm not even going to talk about chapter 5 because you had to read chapter 5 on your own and you had to update your plot mountain with the conflict or the tension. Here we go. Chapter 6. Are you kidding me? Baba shouts. That's pass interference. Where's the call? That's good defense, Mustafa counters. A little smirk plays on his lips. Get your eyes checked, Baba scowls at the black and white striped referee on the television screen, shaking his head while Mustafa snickers. You too, Baba glowers. You and your Packers, bunch of cheaters. Why do you care so much? You're not playing in the game, are you? Mama says from the corner of the room where she's dumped out a mound of laundry. She sits folding clothes into neat piles on the carpet. Yeah, Baba, chill out. Your Bears, which is the team name, your Bears are only down by 13. Mustafa pats Baba on the leg. I'll chill you out. Baba pushes Mustafa over on the sofa and starts pounding him on the shoulder while Mama laughs and throws bald socks at them. So although we know that Mustafa and the parents have a lot of tension and pressure, the fact that Mama laughed and throws the socks at them, and you guys probably have personal connections, they're getting along. So this is quite nice because we've seen pressure with Mustafa and his parents, but that's a really nice scene that we can kind of relate to is playing around. This is Mina, right? She's the narrator. I watch the commotion safe in my favorite leather armchair where I'm curled up with a worn copy of Life on the Oregon Trail. I checked out the fat volume from the school library in the hopes it would give our team an advantage in Mrs. Barton's social studies project. As you guys know, that's right. That's the project that she's been working with Bradley and Emily and having conflict on. The book is filled with diary entries written by the pioneers themselves during the time on the trail. And even though a lot of it is flat out horrifying, I can't stop reading it. I shudder thinking of the kids my age who walked 15 miles a day for months, carrying everything they owned with them in their wagons, only to get an awful disease and be buried in the shallow graves along the trail or drown in a river crossing. It suddenly makes working with my wagon group seem like a trip to the mall. And right there, it's not figurative language, but she's saying, yeah, compared to the real Oregon Trail, it seems like a trip to the mall. Something easy, something simple. Aren't you tired yet? 3 hours of watching these helmets just jumping on each other, Mama asks. I already sorted my clothes and took them upstairs to my room. Then I practiced singing one of the solo choices Miss Holly had listed for the winter concert, just for fun, because she's nervous. She's not actually going to do it. It was A Change Is Gonna Come, performed by Aretha Franklin, and her name's in capital letters. She's a famous musician, passed away a couple of years ago, famous Black singer, which was important because that was during civil rights and discrimination, a powerful voice. You guys should listen to her. It felt incredibly satisfying to blast out the words, I was born by the river, in my biggest voice. Something about that song made me feel powerful. And I even started to daydream about signing up for the concert and finally getting the chance to surprise everyone with my secret. Just like Stella on the TV show The Voice, I could transform from a skinny, shy girl in a plaid shirt and jeans into a glamorous star in a sequined gown. Well, maybe I'd skip the sequined gown part, but I could at least be confident, sure of herself Amina, ready to share my talent with the school and eventually with the rest of the world. So this isn't a memory she's having. She's actually kind of thinking about her future. She's daydreaming. So we talk about narrators, they can jump back, but Amina's kind of giving us a future, which is kind of funny. We've not really had Amina thinking about the future yet. But, opposite, then I remembered how my voice would betray me, shrink back, and cling to my lungs while I stupidly stand on a stage with people staring at me. I turned off the song and went back downstairs. And I read you guys up to page 55. So you guys will have to read the rest of chapter 6 to see what is going on. There is also a photo on Google Drive to remind you that after you read chapter 6, you need to update your plot mountain. And remember, our plot mountains are all about tension. So when you finish reading all of chapter 6, you want to focus on what was the conflict or the tension. And the part I just read to you, there's no conflict or tension yet. Nothing bad has really happened. There's no pressure. Amina's just in her room daydreaming, and her family's downstairs watching the football game, kind of playing around together. So some people, remember when you do your plot mount, you want one tension or conflict. You want to think big picture. So that's something that you guys are going to have to add to your plot mountain. Like we do every day. You just add a little bit. What was the big problem? Where is this taking place? Is this taking place at home or at school? You already know that. And then when the conflict happens, who is it happening with? That hasn't happened yet. All right. So that's pretty much it. There is one thing on Google Drive that's going to be tricky for you guys. And that's why it's not a question. I'm asking you to play with an idea. The author says something in chapter 6, her uncle. It's about her uncle. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And her uncle is the type of person who sees things in black and white. And all I asked, see how I didn't ask you to answer the question. I said, explore the idea. Because that idea, that's figurative language. How can you see something in black and white? Okay, we see in all colors, but it means something. So what I've done is I actually wrote that out. And these are just questions to help you think about it, but you're going to write long for me. You're going to write a longer response about what do you think that idea means to see something in black and white. And that's it for today. You guys are really focusing on vocabulary and using your strategies, not the internet. And then you guys are going to be kind of playing with that idea that comes up in chapter 6 about her uncle. And then you're going to be updating your plot mountain with Amina's big tension, big conflict from chapter 6. So lots of little mini assignments. Chunk it up. Don't do everything all at once. Go back and chunk this video. And then at 10 o'clock, I am going to actually be going over yesterday's writing assignment and helping with that. So if you are totally caught up, you could actually come to that help session, or you could wait for me to record it. But today is only one video, and it's this reading video, and lots of little mini things to do. So that's all I have. I'm going to go back and answer any questions you guys have. And perfect, Pedro. Thank you for sending that earlier. What questions do you guys have about today's assignment or anything in general? Please let me know. Trackers are being updated though. Wednesday is going to have a very interesting assignment. Friday is going to have a very interesting assignment. But your assignments are going to be due, this week. So if you're falling behind, you need to get totally caught up today. It could mean something totally different if we look it up. Absolutely. That's why the vocabulary strategies are super important, because it has to match the scene. It has to match what's happening in the chapter. So you can Google what a word means after you've done all the thinking. But for me, my big thing is, if you don't jot down the strategies and how you're thinking, then I don't have evidence. You can always Google it at the end. That's what we do in the real world. But I do think about things first. I don't just pull up my phone and go, what's it mean? I always think about, okay, what's that word mean? As if my phone's dead. What happens when I did my teacher exam to get my job? And I sat in an exam room for 4 hours and took 4 tests. Was I allowed to Google? So you got to have strategies to help you. It's not cheating, because we do it in the real world. We use the internet. But when you're young, do you have those skills yet? Have you really practiced those skills? Not the way they should be. So Google it at the end. But if you just Google it, you won't get credit. So don't be tempted. Put the phone away. Put the phone away. All right, I'm not seeing a ton of questions, but you guys, that's 9:56. So if you're doing the Steward Zoom session, then you can leave, get a snack, get prepared for that. If you are joining my session at 10 o'clock, I am going over yesterday's question number 8, the one about culture and how would you interact with someone from a different culture, and the one about food and bullying. So I'm going to talk about how to revise that. Otherwise, you guys are free to go. I'm not seeing a ton of questions. Have a good morning. Lots of okays. Okay. No questions? All right. I'm going to stick around for 30 more seconds, see if a question pops up. See if a cat's out. All right, I'm not seeing any questions. Text Class Dojo. Send me your questions. And it's 9:58. You've got all day to seek the help that you need. If you knew how to do everything, I would not be able to do my job. So please ask questions. Fabulous. Leave those comments. Bye, guys.